Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of Feel Good Fridays. Coming live straight at you from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, your hosts, Pauly and Bagz. Thank you for tuning in to this edition of Feel Good Fridays. I'm Pauly.
I'm Bagz.
And today, folks, we are joined by a tremendous leader out of the Atlanta, Georgia market. None only than the man, the myth, the legend himself, Mr. Frank Paris. Frank, welcome to the show.
Thank you both for having me. It's an honor. And I must say, I think I've waited more podcasts than I thought I'd have to wait to get on, but enough begging and banging on the front door. Thanks for letting me in. It's a pleasure.
Not a problem, sir. Thank you for joining, and I'm excited to hear what you have to say for our fans out there today. Bagz, what exactly are we going to get into today?
Well, before we jump into that, if you don't mind, Frank, how long have you been in a leadership role throughout your career?
In all forms of leadership, I started in retail at 20. So I'm now 35 years plus in that was self-employed ownership, got into corporate retail. So really, I've been in different types of leadership roles for well over 30 years.
Awesome. Well, congratulations. Definitely, Frank's got a lot of great insight for us today for the podcast. And two things we're going to review today, everyone, is sincerity and simplicity. So, Frank, if you don't mind, can you go over why those are important traits as a leader, no matter what level you are?
Yeah, and I think it's important. It's not to say those two are any more important than the others. And I think everybody has a perspective on what they think are most important traits. And it's always compassion. It's always inspiration. Those are all, I think everything is at parity. When I thought about the few minutes that we have today, I thought in my years, I've always found myself defaulting to, if I'm sincere, genuine, respectful, and honest, and if I can be frequent and simple, I found that I've captured the most audience in doing those two. People will follow someone they trust, and people will listen to and react to someone they understand. And that's why I thought for today, simplicity and sincerity, for me, have become really two pillars that I try to make sure that I build upon. And when I'm training new leaders, that's what I talk about. If they trust you and they respect you, they'll follow you. If they can understand you, they'll listen to you. And then they'll act upon what you're trying to convey. I just, that's really been the foundation for me in the last several years.
No, it's a lot of great points. And I remember a wise man once told me the little things are the big things. And sometimes keeping it simple is the best path to get your team to where you want them to get to. So
yeah, and Paul, I read a long time ago that professors take simple things and complicate them. Leaders take complicated things and simplify them. So if you want to be a professor, go work in a school. But if you want to lead people, you have to get to the common denominator of all of your entire audience, and simplicity and frequency are key.
That's really good too. I mean, just thinking about it. A lot of times when things are going awry or maybe the results are what you want it to be, you will come up with the new greatest and best thing ever. And it's like, no, you just want to go back to the basic, simple fundamentals of what brings success. And I think a lot of times people forget that, maybe if it's an individual contributor, they start stressing and pressing and they just forget what made them successful up to that point. And it's, again, you're spot on, Frank. Just keep it simple.
Sports analogies now. I mean, I obviously have to have one or two of those today. There's no athlete, greatest athletes in the world, when off their game, say one thing. They go back to the basic routines that got them where they are. So that's about simplicity. So there's got to be some genius in the ability to simplify a message and get everybody back on board and aligned. And to your point about when things get chaotic. Right now, it's a chaotic time. We got a macro economy that's in, kind of looking at a recession or it's in contraction. Now's not the time to panic. It's the time to take a deep breath, calm down, and get everybody focused and aligned. And simplicity is the only way to do that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And look, as we look at ways, it's one thing to say something versus doing something. So, in your mind, what's some of the ways that our leaders out there can incorporate these traits and apply them into their day to day activities? And what's your advice there?
Yeah, so I'll do two. I think when it comes to sincerity, you have to lead with humility. And you have to be able to solicit feedback. I've read where feedback is the breakfast of champions. And I think you can't be afraid to solicit feedback on a regular basis. So if you're truly sincere and your teams trust you, anonymous feedback, one-on-one feedback, if you're not able to digest what they tell you and not dispute and debate, but truly just accept feedback, I think then they'll realize, wow, you genuinely care about what they have to say, how they say it, what their contributions are, and they'll realize they're an important part of your team. Your sincerity meter goes way up because they believe that you consider them a contributor and a business partner. So that's one. Soliciting feedback on a regular basis. Any leader at any level, if you think once a year is the way to do it, well, then you'll get what you get, because if you don't hear anything bad, don't think that you're doing everything good. So I like to solicit feedback frequently and let them know that I genuinely care about what they think and feel. That's the sincerity piece. And then all things that I do are values based. I'm thinking about, how do I take care of my people? How do I show them respect? How do I do the things that are values based in my decisions so they know they can trust me? That's one. When it comes to simplicity, I mentioned frequency and simplicity in the same vein. The reason I say that is when I deliver a message, I'm always going back to the people I delivered it to and having them repeat it back to me, making sure I didn't lose anyone in the room. I don't take any pleasure anymore in showing anyone how smart I am. I'm not here to dazzle anyone because I know I'll lose someone in the room. So now I'm always thinking about the newest person on the team, and did they understand what the message is, and can they repeat it back to me? Do I have their buy-in and their commitment? So that level of simplicity gets everybody on board. I try to avoid being, obviously now in my mid 50s, I try to avoid, well, 10 years ago this and 20 years ago that. Well, there's people in the room, they weren't there. So I'm no longer about the old stories and the old school and losing the audience. I'm about what's new and what can we all do together, keeping it simple and keeping the entire audience involved. So I think that's how sincerity and simplicity are working for me. But it's a lot of frequency, a lot of feedback, and a lot of checking in on, was my message received and understood, and can we all row in the same direction?
Yeah, spot on. And it goes back to one of our previous episodes of understanding your audience. And not everyone receives messaging the same way. So just as a leader, knowing that and delivering it into a way, like you said, no one wants to hear about, 20, 30 years ago, because like you said, some people weren't even alive in the room, right? So self-awareness. And I think, tailoring your message to your audience is certainly important.
Yeah, I'd even say that the feedback piece, it's amazing, as you mentioned, Frank, in that once a year, it's crazy. I think, in leadership or whatever role you're in, just continuously getting feedback, not only from somebody might be a direct connection to you, but maybe other people you work with, just to kind of understand, where you're at, what you can do better. Because like you said, if you think because not getting feedback, things are good, right, you're probably in trouble. So yeah, no, seeking feedback is good. And a lot of people don't want to do it because at the end of the day, if you're a professional and you want to continue and you like what you do, you want to get better at it. So you got to seek that from people. And again, I think building that trust and establishing that trust will allow them to be honest with you and not just give you everything you want to hear, which is not going to help you achieve your ultimate, goal of progression.
Yeah, I think, and that really comes down to ego. The more you lead, the more you realize you got to park your ego. And you have to just be humble enough to understand not everything you do is right, but if you get people on board, you'll know when you're leading correctly, because people will not want to disappoint you. They'll do something that was off and apologize versus avoid. When you start to see that, you've built a team of people. They don't want to let you down, but you have to earn that. And I'm always working on earning everyone's respect. I enjoy that journey. Every time I get a new team, I tell the team, I'm looking forward to earning your respect. I don't expect it because I simply got this title. I'll work on the journey of earning it from you, and we'll become friends long after we are done working together. Because what do you really work on a team? 2 to 3 years? I've been in roles now. I've had about 8 or 9 different positions over the last 27 years. It's not because I can't keep a job. It's because I keep moving into different roles with different routines, but the leadership elements are the same. Earn their trust, work on earning their trust, and let them know that that's important to you. And that's that sincerity and that simplicity piece for me.
Just with the new team, the challenge in itself, I love it as well. I've taken over a few different teams that had some opportunities, just looking back and just being proud of what you were able to accomplish and do with that team, and still communicate with them to this day, even though they don't report to you. So,
But that's the measurement. If you leave a team and maintain friendships, then you knew, right? You can leave to cheers or jeers. You can decide how you want to leave a team. You know, when I still have the people from all my old teams still connecting, whether it's happy birthday, happy this, happy Father's Day, somebody just reaches out. They don't have to. They want to. It's because you instilled in them more than just direction. And maybe you helped them with their development. You invested in them as a person. That's sincerity. And you did it with enough simplicity that they were able to latch on and get some accretive gains from it. So that to me is the real investment and the return on the investment that comes with it.
Man, it's all great stuff. And look, we're at 11 minutes, folks, and I can tell you one thing, Frank Parrish will probably join us in the future because that many years of knowledge, just amazing. The conversation today was amazing.
You can't keep that to 10 minutes.
You can't keep it just at 11, no. But no, all great stuff, Frank. Thank you so much for sharing. And I know the leaders out there will get a lot out of this episode. And again, that's a wrap for us today. If you missed any of our previous episodes, be sure to head to our YouTube channel, Feel Good Fridays Podcast, or just by searching Pauly and Bagz. If you're more of an on-the-go person, we're on all the platforms, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your pods. But until next time, and as always, ladies and gentlemen, take care.
And for those in the Northeast, don't breathe in all that smoke outside. It's terrible for you.
Thank you for tuning in to Feel Good Fridays. If you want to stay up to date with our podcast releases and upcoming material, please like and subscribe our YouTube channel. I'll wait. You didn't do it yet. Go ahead. I'm still waiting. Did you do it? Definitely check us out on our TikTok for special announcements and possible giveaways. Both can be found by searching at Feel Good Fridays Podcast. Thank you, and make it a great day.